So I'm super excited to be here today and to talk about something that I'm really passionate about. But before we get into data analytics, I wanted to give you a little bit about me, my journey, how I got to SKC, and what we're about. As I'm an accountant by trade, as Roseanne mentioned, I'm a partner at SKC and Co CPAs, and I've been working with business owners for over a decade now. I started my career early on as an auditor. I was auditing financial service companies and telling them what they were doing wrong. And as many of you might imagine, it's not the most fun job that I ever had. I was not the most popular person in the room. And I wasn't able to ever help the companies fix what was wrong. So it was a bit of a Debbie Downer. But I knew two things: that I love working with people, and I love the stories that numbers can tell. So I decided to switch gears and move into the business advisory world of accounting. This is where I really fell in love with entrepreneurs and business owners. They're different than any other individual out there. Their drive, their passion, their fortitude, their intuition, they're inspiring, and they inspire me every day. And when I came to SKC, it was fate. SKC started almost 40 years ago. They grew their company serving the small business community. We started with one person or one room and a vision, and now we're almost 30 people. From the beginning, we focused on entrepreneurs, and that's how our mission, our core values, and our client service model were all created. So, we are our clients, we are business owners, we truly understand how they think and what drives them. We understand there's very little separation between business and personal life, and we very much appreciate that they live their lives without a safety net. And we can speak to that. Risk is everything to a business owner, and minimizing risk is a huge component, and giving them peace of mind is really invaluable. And that's where data analytics came in, and it can have such a huge impact. We've been using data analytics for a long time, but most recently, with the help of technology, we've really been able to take it to the next level and illustrate what it means to utilize everybody's data for their business growth. So let's get into it. Before we start the actual presentation, I wanted to start with a polling question, which is, are you utilizing data analytics in some aspect of your business?
So you should see that come up right now. So if you guys can go ahead and take a poll, and I will share the results with you as soon as everyone's voted. We have about half of you voting right now. If you joined us on the phone, you may not be able to vote, so that's okay, but I'm going to give it a couple of more seconds. We're about 85% of the way there. And you've got just about everyone. We got one more person, and there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and share the results with you.
So it's about 80% yes and 20% no, which is, my honest opinion is it's actually 100% yes and 0% no. You just may not know it, because when we go through some of this, you're going to be like, oh, I do that, or I've done that, and it's data analytics. Which is great. There's always a room to expand on what you're currently doing. And if you're not using it at all for those 20%, there's really simple ways to start using your data. So I'm going to stop sharing the results.
Oh, I just did that, and it just keeps popping up. So hold on, let me just stop that. There we go.
Well, I no longer see it. I don't know if everybody else does. Okay. So I am going to share my screen. And
perfect.
Okay, so now you can see the presentation without my notes, right? Perfect. All right, so driving business growth with data analytics. So what is data analytics, and why is it so important for your business? And in the most simple terms, data analytics is using your data to solve problems and make more strategic, informed decisions. So properly used data analytics will help you increase your efficiency, your productivity, your revenue. The philosophy behind it is to have data drive growth and to take the emotion out of making decisions. One of the things I absolutely love about entrepreneurs is their gut instinct, their intuition, which I think I originally mentioned, but we want to back that intuition up with real data. I'm going to go through these slides pretty quickly because I think the most fun part is going to be at the end with the samples. But if you do have questions, please, like Lorena originally said, put them in the chat and, you know, interrupt me when you want to. Making it more interactive is always a little bit more fun for me. So 3 types of data that's at the foundation, and this is just going to be a little bit of, just so that you understand how I use these words later in the presentation. There's descriptive. So descriptive is a historical view. It's reviewing what happened in 2020. Not that we want to go back there again, but there is value in understanding historical trends. So this is where you are, where you've been. Predictive, this is future forecasting. Where are we headed? What if we hire a new person? What if we decide, or what if we close the next big case? What does the end of the year look like? What do the next 3 years look like? So this is predictive into the future without a crystal ball, of course, using assumptions. And prescriptive is utilizing the data to provide recommendations and guidance to make changes that will impact the outcome. So for example, what we may see by our historical trends that project project 3 years into the future, if they have a particular outcome and we want to change that outcome, what are the changes that we need to make in order to get there? And this all goes back to aligning where you're going to end up with your goals. We always start with your goals. We start with and then back into it. But we want to make sure that in the future, your 2 years, your 3 years, your 5 years, your 10 years is where your model ends up. So prescriptive is really providing those recommendations and guidance to get your your future view in line with your goals. So chances are you're already using it. And I said this before. We do have a poll question is, do you have programs in place that provide measurable data? So we know that some people may be utilizing it, and do you have something that you're measuring and you're reviewing consistently?
And I'm sure you can see the poll in progress.
Yes, I can. Yep. I'll give you a couple more seconds.
Yeah, you're just about there.
Yeah, almost there. And it looks like we're probably getting close to the same ratio that of people who are utilizing data analytics. So maybe a few that are utilizing it aren't utilizing it to the point where you think you have measurable data, that you're able to use the data that you have. But 73% say that you're using measurable data, which is wonderful. So of course you're using it. Chances are you're using is at least starting with Excel, but you're interacting with it every day. You have and others are using your interactions as data. As you engage in someone's social media page, that's data. As you click on their newsletter, that's data. As you review your P&L, there's always financial data for Q1 2021. It's April, right? So a lot of us are reviewing what happened in Q1 of this year. That's data. And all of your data is relevant. All small businesses have data. It's not just for big businesses. You have just as much data, and it can be just as important, if not more important, to utilize your data than bigger businesses. So don't be intimidated by the softwares or think it has to be a huge undertaking. Like we said, Excel can be your friend, but there are even programs that you're utilizing now that can help you run simple dashboards. I'll say, QuickBooks Online, you can customize to have certain dashboards for you, but you certainly have data and you have the availability to do it. And you have data on your clients, on your employees, on marketing, on financial. So it's really in all of your programs you're using, Outlook and your CRM systems, all of these, they have relevant data inside of them. Information in real time. One of the most important aspects of data is the time relevance, being able to make decisions based on current information. So if you're waiting months to review your data, it's stale, it's not as relevant. You can't change your trajectory if you're only reviewing at the end of the year. If you're reviewing it quarterly, at least you can potentially change your trajectory for the rest of the year, or monthly. That's even better. Some clients we have and some business owners we know review it weekly on their dashboards. Like I mentioned just a minute ago, a lot of the systems that you're already using, your CRM systems, your financial systems, they have dashboards that you can customize and review some of the important aspects for you, even daily. So they can be found on almost any of your programs. So data is not just for financials. This is another misconception that data analytics is just for your financial data. It's so much more when you pair it with other programs. So for example, understanding the correlation between your marketing campaigns and your website traffic, it goes so much deeper. We use Power BI to take those multiple sources of data that may not otherwise be linked and combine them. So for instance, we will take our Outlook alongside of our Zoho CRM system, alongside of our website traffic, and marry all of those and overlap them to see real life data about campaigns and the ROI on them. Data doesn't have to come from systems too. For example, let's say you want to know why your top 20% clients choose you over your competitor. And you conduct a phone survey or an email survey. That is also data. It's not data that's coming from a system. It's data that you're putting together. You're likely going to put it into Excel, maybe put it into some rows, but that also can be utilized with additional data. It's going to help you understand all of the good things that come out of the survey of the reasons why these clients want to choose you over your competitor. That's what you're going to utilize to market yourself. All of the things that and I would ask for the good, the bad, and the ugly. The bad and the ugly is where you can help improve your firm. It's internal information on how to better serve your clients. Emails, can certainly measure engagement. If you have employee engagement or you want to know employee satisfaction, employee retention, there's a significant amount of data around that. So whatever you're contemplating, that there are data sources. So I know the question comes about, how can you leverage data to solve problems that aren't measurable? So for example, like I just said, in measuring employee satisfaction, that right off the bat seems, well, how can I measure employee satisfaction? And you have to start with the root of the problem. What problem are you trying to solve, or what question are you trying to answer? Are you trying to understand if your employees are going to stay for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years? What makes them stay? What makes them not want to stay? And then what data sources will you find that information? Well, you can find that information, for example, if you consistently have firm outings, and certain people do go and certain people don't go. And I say outings right now, they're all Zoom calls, right? So if you have, like we have on Wednesday night this week, an SKC comedy show. If somebody consistently doesn't come to our monthly SKC employee thing, we know that they're not engaged. And that's data. So, and we utilize this data to solve our problems or answer questions, and it can start with anything. What data sources can you find that information? Evaluate it. What do the numbers show, or what does the data show? And action. What will I do when I get this information? So what are you trying to solve for? What question are you trying to have answered? Keep in mind, data is as neutral as the people using it. So what you see is different from what somebody else sees. Be aware of confirmation bias. Try to look beyond the numbers, be objective about what the data truly says. If you have a gut feeling about something that is, and then you look at one piece of data and you make a determination, well, the answer is what I thought it always was. Ask someone else, see if maybe some of the others in your group or the other professionals, the other advisors in your life could help you shed some additional light, because it's somebody who is not in the weeds may see it differently and interpret data differently. So you always just want to be aware of utilizing data for exactly what it is. So we're going to jump into some examples. The examples are really the more fun part of the presentation. So before we do, I'd like to ask our last poll question, which is, what area of your business could you see as data analytics benefiting you? And while you answer that question, I'm going to figure out how to switch sharing. How to share.
I love the point that you just made where, you know, data, there's confirmation bias. It's kind of like when you're searching the web, right? You can always find something to prove your point on the web.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. You know, you can always find something to prove your belief or disprove your belief.
Exactly. And you've got almost everybody voting at this point. We're just about 70% of the way there. So we'll give it a couple of more seconds just so that everybody could vote. We've got just about everybody there. If everybody can just make sure you submit your vote on there, I'll close out the poll. And I love what you're going to show us right now. Oh my God.
Yeah. So it looks like most people were interested in marketing. I should have started with the marketing sample, but we'll get to that. We'll do that one next. So it looks like most people are marketing, some are operations, some automation, and other. We didn't put financial up there. We know financial data analytics is, of course, we use that, but what I'm trying to portray is that there's so much more than financial data that can be revealed, right? So, but okay, great. Thanks so much for answering that. So what I have in front of me now is a project manager utilization dashboard. This is more descriptive. So this is historical. The problem that this particular client was trying to solve, or I should say the question that they had, is who are our most profitable project managers, who are the most efficient, and who makes us the most money? Because then they wanted to take that information and develop their training programs for new project managers, understand their styles, and look further into the clients that they serve. So maybe it's a particular type of client. This company is a contracting company, and they have many different project managers. They also have different client types. So this initial page, and this is what we created for them, you can actually click on a year and it will update information based on a particular year. You can dive into any aspect on this sheet to get a more clear picture, but this here has the project managers listed here, their number of jobs, their revenue. Right now this is showing you for 2017, could show you for various 18. We did it over a 4-year period because the more data you have, the better your determination and the trends and analysis is going to be, because something could have it happened in 1 year that doesn't happen in the next. It could repeat itself or not. We also added a client overview aspect for them, so you can look at the project managers and all of their clients for themselves. So how many jobs did they do? How many jobs did they do by client? So as you can see, this project manager did 142 jobs. All the jobs that they did are 142 here. And then are they profitable? So, we did 23 jobs here for client 17, and that was a profitable job. So looking into the demographics, next step is looking into the demographics of, what did we do with that client? How did we bid that client? How do we repeat what went well, what didn't go well? Let's look at, other clients to see the same impact. Now, this project manager just so happens to have an overall net loss. Why is that? Is it the client? Is it, what is it? So we're always trying to answer the question, or a question. I will go back to the sample page, and since everybody liked the marketing, let's go into what we've created for marketing. So we've overlapped a few different systems for this analysis. This particular data set was created to understand the correlation between campaigns and leads generated. Through that, also website users. So as you can see, we have, campaigns up, campaigns 5 through 60, and these were different times. Their sends, their click ratios, their open ratios, and how they correlate the campaigns to leads. So these are the campaign clicks. These are the leads that came in, and really we overlap the data that wouldn't otherwise be overlapped because these come from different sources. Like I said, there's constant contact is how you send campaigns. There's the website there, and clicking through is campaign clicks could be through constant contact. We get more granular on how many sends and users by date, opens and clicks and top visits. So, you can really see where what's been the most opened and why. There is also something really interesting about utilizing or getting this information on your dashboard, because you can be sending out what you think is the most relevant information to your end user, to your client. But if they're not clicking on it and they don't want to see what's there, how useful is it to them? How valuable is it to your end user? So that's, we always want to make sure that what we're providing and what we're doing is valuable to who it's going to. Another sample here is an hours analysis. So this is for those who this particular data set was created because this client wanted to understand their non-billable hours and where their non-billable hours were spent and how to become more efficient in the non-billable hours. So we broke out the 3 different categories of non-billable hours, and then we can even further drill down into let's say marketing hours and where is everybody spending time. And then we went into the financial billable hours or the operations billable hours and drill down so that we can see what exactly they're spending time. Is there a way to become more efficient in any of the, and we actually can further drill this down into a table to show comments and descriptions of the non-billable time to see if there's a way to reduce or make things, either automate things that are happening, make them more efficient, and reduce the amount of billable time, therefore creating more time for those employees to have billable hours, being able to grow your business without having to grow your employee, without having to add staff. So this was most professional service companies can understand this, billable versus non-billable, and it was very useful. And this particular recipient of this project was able to change the way that they do things in their office, and it had real impact. It also tells you over here that by people, you can drill in by month and set certain KPIs so that you're seeing if people are hitting them or not. And I think I just have a few more minutes. I don't know, Lorena, tell me.
You've got about 5 minutes, and then we'll still have another 5 to open it up for Q&A. So you're
okay. Good. So I am going to hop into something that this is all Power BI based of what I just showed you. And there's, I can actually show you a salesperson analysis, which this one is more of a How does each person, their sales, how much are their sales, what's their salary, and what's their percentage? You can dive into each person to get their metrics. This is a very visual, a good representation to show to your salespeople about their own KPIs, their own goals, and what they should target. So it's, you can really turn any of this into a nice visual so that it's very easy to understand. And when you're having conversations with those, and maybe that is with a salesperson, to say, your quota is X. Well, how do you get there? What does that compare? Is it a certain percentage? And so we've utilized it for that. I'm going to show you my last example is on Excel. I wanted to show you something that is somewhat easy to replicate, if you will, or just, anybody could use it. This is what we've used, a what if scenario. We started utilizing a what if scenario in early 2020. It's basically your P&L. And if we were to make an assumption, so for example, what if your revenue in July of 2020, or let's say it's July of 2021, dropped 50% or was down 50%. And then you can go back to the chart and see your cash balance. This particular what if was measuring cash balance. Where's your cash balance over the next 12 months? If we make certain decisions in any part of our P&L, whether it's revenue based or expense based, if we change things, what happens to our cash balance? One of the things that we realized very early on, or last year, was everybody was worried about cash. So it was the first thing we did to say, okay, well, let's project out. What does it look like if these things happen, if this continues? This is something that I'll say anyone can create. If you have a P&L on your system that you can export to Excel, adding a chart and a graph to see your cash balance. We also added on the bottom of the P&L, some additional cash out payments that may not show as expenses. For example, debt repayments or taxes, other things in and out. So there are, you can create it and manipulate it, and I'll say it's not an absorbent amount of time in order to create something like this. And it gives a very easy representation, and it also updates the profitability. And you could add cost of goods sold and gross profit in as well. So those are some of the examples of what you can, the illustrations and the representations. Do we have any questions? I'm going to stop sharing.
So I'm going to ask a quick question for you.
Yes, please.
Because I know that I'm a data geek, as you know, obviously. Mm-hmm. So I'm drooling over all of your charts, but not everyone is as tech savvy or as understanding of it. So obviously they might already have their own bookkeeper, or maybe they don't have their bookkeeper that can get them to this level. Mm-hmm. So is that something that they can reach out to you with their reports for you guys to help them manage to do this wonderful stuff?
Absolutely. And like I said earlier on, almost all of the systems that everybody uses has some sort of customizable dashboard. Especially the financial systems, even if it's QuickBooks Online, you have a dashboard, you just may not have used it yet or seen its capabilities. So some of the things that are burning questions for you that may take you a longer time to get through by getting reports or having to go, there may be very simple ways to create a dashboard and see what you're looking for easily. Of course, everybody's willing, they can reach out to myself, they can reach out to their own advisor, but yeah, if they want, a consultation, you are more than willing to reach out, and we can certainly help you with that. Even if it's just pointing you in the right direction on there are a lot of programs too that add into your programs. So let's say you're utilizing QuickBooks Online, but you want a step above. There are financial apps that will take it to that next level that can create things similar to this.
Yeah. And somebody posted the question, you know, can you create dashboards in Excel? And you absolutely can. It's just a matter of just having the data there.
It's a matter of having the data. It's a matter of having the time. Let's not be, you know, foolish to think that this isn't going to take some time, right? But there's a benefit in taking the time on your business so that you can understand. And once it's created, it's fairly, and you know how to replicate it, and you get used to it. I will tell you, it can become addicting, and it has become addicting to a lot of people, because once you start seeing, oh, well, I can do this. Well, what else can I do? What else can you show me? What else can you? So I have, you know, Ryan in our office does all of our creating of our Power BI. And I am constantly like, Ryan, can you add this to my dashboard? Can you add this to my dashboard? So he's constantly adding. So it does become a little bit addicting.
Yeah. And you end up where I usually end up, which is the analysis paralysis stage, which is just you're looking at data and you just don't move from that. So you have to have the nice balance.
You have to have the nice balance, and you have to make sure that you're utilizing it. Not just, listen, anybody can create, I shouldn't say anybody can create, but anybody that has the capability can create wonderful, beautiful reports. But if they are not helping you with your business, from a growth perspective, from a marketing perspective, from an internal client retention or employee retention perspective, or whatever question you're trying to answer, a problem you're trying to solve, it's not going to be useful. It's just going to be really pretty.
Yeah.
So we don't.
It's not going to get you where you need to go.
It's not going to get you where you need to go. So pretty is great. I'm all for it, but let's make it pretty and valuable. So that's why you start with the problem, start with the question, and then figure out where can we get this data and how can we. So if the question is, you know, what's my cash balance going to be in December of 2021? All right, what data sources do we have? What's the easiest way to do that? It's likely going to be Excel.